One of the biggest mistakes I see when someone is creating a course is they start in completely the wrong place. And when that happens, it usually leads to the course being difficult to create, so someone can often give up, or difficult to sell, which again means they might try selling it once and then it flops. So in this video, I want to walk you through 3 things that I find quite often happens when course creating and it doesn't quite come together. And yes, I have notes to make sure I stay on track. So the first thing is they start with content and not with outcome. So does this sound familiar? You can open a blank document and you write down all the ideas for a course, and then all the content that you want to create. Or you have a 3 a.m. idea, and that's like, oh, this is what I am going to create. And that can be a challenge because you are the expert. So you're going, la la, I'm going to share all of this. But that isn't necessarily what your audience needs. So what you need to think about when you're starting a course, or if you've got an existing course that you want to refresh and make better, is what's in it for your audience. So yes, do by all means have an idea, write it down, brainstorm it out, and we're coming on a little bit more to what you can do about that to make it something that your ideal audience are going to want to actually do. But you need to have them in mind. And if you don't have them in mind, then it's not talking to them. There's a part of the brain called the reticular activating system. And when you're doing your courses, you want to help trigger that part of the brain, which is helping your audience to achieve their goals. So there needs to be a double bit to this. This is about designing your course consciously and not, I want to create a course and off it goes. The next thing, which is where it's important to be thinking about editing all of those wonderful ideas. You've got your kind of idea, you've thought about your audience, you've done stuff with them, you've maybe asked, you've maybe looked at it, you've really thought about how this can help. The next thing is really editing, because so often we feel like as a creator, value comes from content. Value comes from more modules, value comes from more videos, value comes from more worksheets, but it doesn't. Your course needs to be a guided experience that your audience feels like they can achieve. What's this got to do with making it sales? Well, making sales from it. Well, you are going to put out there what's included in this course. If your audience feels straight away overwhelmed, they're not going to buy. Also, different courses have different roles and responsibilities within your business. And again, this is all part of the design phase. So when you're doing this, you want to make sure that your audience can go somewhere with it. You want to make sure that your people who are completing your courses do what they need to do. So more content isn't necessarily best content. You really need to think about where your audience is at. I had a client once, her audience were busy, lawyers, and we created an audio-based client course because they're on their treadmills. So this is back to, it needs to be something, yes, that you enjoy, that you want to put out there, that's about your expertise, but it's important to really tailor the content to your audience. The final thing, which I've kind of alluded to, is not doing the positioning. So when you're thinking about your course, what outcome, and again this helps with the content, what outcome is your audience going to achieve? What outcome is your course participant going to achieve? You need to be able to explain who the course is for, what it is, what they're going to achieve, and not all the necessarily juicy things that you know they're going to achieve. Again, we're talking to their reticular activating system, to their goals, so it needs to be the outcome that talks to those goals. Again, this is something that is quite often missed when we just create a course. And this is some of the science that I have learned, and not science, I suppose it's not science, it's sort of So what I've learned over the last 10-15 years of creating courses and helping other people create courses is there is this kind of push-pull in all of this. Yes, you've got your expertise, but it's also about making sure that this course is positioned in a way that talks to your audience so that it is easy to talk about, it is easy to sell. So these are the things that I see quite often when someone jumps into, I'm going to create a course, without looking at defining those earlier things first. When you're looking at designing your course, very deliberately making that definition of who it's for and, what they're going to achieve, of making sure that you decide how it's going to fit for you. You need to be doing those two bits first before moving on to then designing the actual course itself, which needs to be something that is achievable and feels really good for your audience. And I will be doing future videos on things around support, more detail around content and tech. So please do either subscribe, like, follow, comment below obviously, and join my school community where I share lots of other resources, and there's a new masterclass and a guide in there that you can access to look at even more detail what you can do to make your course sellable. Have a fantastic day.